Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian Shield, your source of trusted analysis. My name's Sterling. I'm your host. Justin Trudeau spoke to the press in the Liberal retreat in British Columbia. And despite all of the alterations, all of the changes that have occurred in the last couple of weeks, his message hasn't changed. He still said the same things. I mean, we got the NDP making an announcement. We get the Bloc saying they might be willing to step in where the NDP has stepped out if they can get whatever they want out of the Liberal Party. Mark Carney being, a board-sitting member of the WEF coming in and saying that he's going to take control officially of the economic policy of the Liberal Party. And yet Justin Trudeau came out and it just said the same things that he's been saying. Now that indicates one of two things. Either A, he doesn't know what to say about all of the oncoming changes and he's not capable and competent enough to face these challenges head on. Or B, he's been told what to say. The questions have been structured for him. The answers have been given for him. And therefore, he's not his own man. He's not thinking on his own. Either way, is this the kind of man we want leading? Is this the type of person that you say to yourself is large and in charge, as the expression goes? Anyway, before I get into it, I would encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe, both on the video and on the channel. I am up against a lot of censorship. I say things that, though not untrue, certainly get under some people's feathers. So any assistance that you're willing to give me, I appreciate. As I said, he's opened up with many of the things that he's already been saying for months. And then there was one question that sort of kicked it off. So let's start there.
As confident countries invest in their workers, invest in their people, invest in their future, and that's exactly what we're going to keep doing. The reality is all of us are focused on what to do to make sure that Canadians are being supported, are feeling confident about the future, are getting the housing they need, are getting school food for their kids and breaks on groceries that are... Listen, people are facing tough times right now, and that's why we continue to step up to deliver for them. We're there to invest in childcare. We're there to invest in dental care. 650 seniors have now had access to dental care, despite the fact that Pierre Poilievre and his Conservatives have kept blocking it and kept pretending that it doesn't exist.
So right out of the gate, I got to call BS on that. The reason the supply and confidence motion was so effective is because it essentially gave the socialists that were not the Bloc a majority. There's absolutely nothing that the Conservatives could do to stop dental care. There's absolutely nothing the Conservatives could do to stop the daycare disaster that's transpiring in all of the places that the government has forced it. There's nothing that the Conservatives could do to stop it at all. They couldn't block it. They couldn't slow it down. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't even have a continued debate on the matter because the Liberal government would force the question through. So there's no validity in that. That's just trying to talk to people who are not necessarily informed on the situation. Now they're trying to make him, I think the idea of this next question is to try to make it seem like he knows what he's doing with international diplomacy and that he is aware of all of the subtleties of diplomacy. However, it kind of falls off the rails for him as soon as he lets himself speak. The question from the reporter was about softwood lumber and the tariffs. And of course, they're trying to throw in, the monster under the bed or whatever. So it's all Trump's fault. Let's just listen and then I'll show you where the glaring mistake is.
The American people and the American administration understood that things that hurt Canada also hurt their jobs and their future. And when we talk about softwood lumber, the reality is Americans are facing a housing crisis as well. Americans are facing challenges with the rising costs of housing, and paying more for lumber from Canada makes no sense for the American people. And that's an argument we are making with the American administration right now, and we're bringing it before trade tribunals.
Now, the softwood tariffs are currently imposed by the Biden government, and the Liberal Party have been trying to negotiate it since, I think, January. They finally had to take it to the WTO tribunal to see, and I'll tell you straight away, they are going to lose. They have this softwood tariffs battle has been going on between Canada and the United States for decades. It's not the first time I've heard this problem. Where the problem lies for Trudeau is that he claimed it was all about making the government in the United States that they understand that our fortunes are tied together. And yet then he says, oh no, but we have this in front of the tribunal and we're trying to talk to the current administration. So apparently the current administration is not all about kumbaya holding hands globally. Apparently the current administration is about making sure that their jobs stay in Canada, because the idea that the northwestern part of the United States doesn't have lumber, that the American continent doesn't have a lot of lumber, is where the naivete falls. You get these images of, say, I don't know, California or New Mexico or something, and you forget that Washington and Oregon and Montana, they all have the same amount of dense forest density as Canada does, except they have stronger replantation policies. So they put more back in the ground, and then it regrows. This is something that Canada needs to pay attention to, because really that softwood lumber should be directed and diverted to Canada, which would then make it very less expensive to build a house in Canada. And then we would have less of a trouble with the housing issue. A house in the United States is a quarter of what it costs in Canada. And that's adjusting for the dollar value difference. I've done reports on it. I think that by trying to throw shade onto Trump in an effort to make people think that they're going to be scared of some American guy, whatever, it was a mistake, when the reality is that Canada is fighting these tariffs, softwood lumber tariffs, with the United States for a long time. And really, that supply should be directed to the housing crisis so that we could start to build houses or renovate for next to nothing. We have lumber on 94% of the country. It should be cheap. Should be very inexpensive. I get that it might be expensive in Dubai, where it's a sandy desert, but in Canada we should be able to throw up wooden structures everywhere. But they wouldn't be able to go high density with wood, right? So therein lies the issue. Now this next setup is pretty blatant. I believe that what's happening, people are not polling well with the confident country slogan, and they gave that question to one of their selected press people. And that question was asked, and then he went off for like 3 minutes. So let's just have a listen to the question and then the bizarre answers.
Some of the things we've heard from you, things like slogans like confident Canadians invest in themselves, I'm not sure people really understand what that means.
Asking me what it means to say that confident countries invest in themselves. Because that's the choice that we have made, and we've made it consistently since 2015. This government is doing the same thing. We are investing in the future of Canada by making sure kids have room in daycare so that their parents can get the jobs and careers that they want. We're investing in the kinds of resource economy that leads into the knowledge economy, whether it's leading the world on electric vehicle supply chains or drawing in global investment in strong jobs of the future. We are stepping up and investing in our future. You know who doesn't believe in Canadians?
Who?
Pierre Poilievre. Because his answer to what do you do with the strongest economy in the world, strongest fiscal balance sheet in the world right now is, we believe in putting that in service of Canadians by investing in them. And the answer the Conservatives are bringing forward is, oh no, we'll create growth and opportunities.
Oh no, not growth and opportunities. Not growth and opportunities, MP Trudeau. My goodness. I really think the setup was pretty weak. What I will say about the confidence countries and all of this stuff is, he says he's been doing it since 2015. And when you look at the steady decline of the economic fortunes of Canada, you can trace them right back to 2015. When you look at the increase in violent crime and crime as a whole in Canada, when you look at the increase in the housing crisis, you can trace them all. They were going fine, and then once you hit 2015, the numbers start to go the opposite direction. He's been doing since 2015. So I'm not sure that there's as much good news in that response as he might have thought when they drafted it. As for this investing in the resource economy that leads into an information economy, we seem to be giving all of our resources away instead of keeping them in the country. And everybody is aware of the amount of international companies that have backed out of the battery deals. They seem to want to be keeping the rights and access to the material without necessarily giving us the jobs and building the buildings inside of the country, which I don't agree with in any way, shape, or form. If it's on Canadian soil, it has to stay in Canadian hands. I don't want to sell our resources to Volkswagen in Germany. I don't want to sell our resources to anybody in America. I don't want to sell them to China. I don't want to. That's what dictatorships do, because they can't trust their own people. So they sell their resources to other countries so that they can maintain power in their region of the world. But if you were really worried about, creating jobs, then you wouldn't be giving our resources internationally. You would be doing like the Americans do, keep their resources to themselves. As for, investing in Canadians so they can have daycare spaces so their parents can go to work, well, I've told everybody my position on that, and I'll say it again. I believe that when a woman gets pregnant, she should be given 5 years to stay home with that child. I think that the rise of mental health problems in teenagers stems from the fact that we put all of our children at age 6 months into a daycare center with somebody that's not connected to them, that's not emotionally invested in them as a baby. Yeah, they look after them and all those kinds of things, but they don't have that connection. And that probably manifests itself many years later in all of the depression issues that we hear them talk about. That's my opinion. I think that we should just leave, like they do in many Scandinavian countries, that we should let the mother stay home with the child, and the child will be happy, and we will give the woman 5 years of maternity, not just 1 year of maternity. But the federal government doesn't want that. The federal government wants to make you think that it's better for you to put your child in a mill so that they can control what they feed them for lunch, and you have to go to work 10 hours a day. With transportation and everything, that's what it boils down to. Justin Trudeau says that he is looking forward to getting in there with Pierre Poilievre, that he believes that he has the upper hand on Pierre Poilievre when it comes to the one-on-one debates. I mean, you can't believe it.
That's the choice that people get to make in these upcoming by-elections. That's the choice people are going to make next year. And I can't wait to continue getting into it this fall with Poilievre, because I know that confident countries invest in their future, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
You know what I know, MP Trudeau? I know that confident politicians don't run away from elections. I know that confident people don't run away from challenges. I know that, and you don't have to explain it to me. I don't need to hear it in a slogan. I know that if you really believed half of what come out of your mouth, you'd be calling an election right now. You'd be standing up there at the podium saying, I dare you, I dare you, I dare you. That's the kind of personality that you are. But instead, you come out into the open that the WEF is now in control of the economic policies of Canada between Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland, who are both members of that organization. Mark Carney, a ranking member of that organization. So now we are in a country that is so confident, it's having other non-elected individuals look after it. We are in a country that's so confident, its minority government is running left and right, scrambling to find anybody that can prop them up and keep them in power. That's how confident you are. All of this to say that Canadians are confident that they are ready for an election. Canadians are confident that they don't believe in what you are offering. Canadians are confident that when they go to the store, it's costing them more money than ever. Canadians are confident that the housing crisis is a real problem. Canadians are confident that the fuel prices are a real issue. Canadians are confident of all of that. So I would ask you again, not one last time, but I will ask you again. If you're so confident, if you believe all of the words that are coming out of your mouth, if you believe that your party is behind you 100%, if you believe the Canadian people are now starting to enjoy the carbon tax, call an election. Put your money where your mouth is and say, we are going to the polls ASAP. Probably by December, we could pull it off. All right, I'm going to wrap here. I want to thank you all for listening. I'll talk to you next time.